Hey, this is Wayne from the Brew Book. Thanks so much for coming over and checking out this video today. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what we did and the steps that we took that enabled us to open a coffee shop for less than $25,000 and not even use a single penny, not one penny of our own money. You see, it all begins with laying the proper foundation. That's something that you must begin today. You must start today working on laying the proper foundation. Let me briefly tell you about my foundation before I got involved in the coffee industry. First of all, I had never worked at a coffee shop before. As a matter of fact, I didn't even frequent coffee shops before I got involved in the coffee industry. Second, I had no clue what the crema, a group head, or even a French press was. I really was not at all familiar with coffee or coffee shops at all. I honestly believed that coffee naturally grew on trees with different types of flavors. I thought when they went and picked the beans off the tree, they would go pick a hazelnut bean from one tree and a southern pecan bean from another tree. I had no clue how coffee beans got their flavor. Also, I never held a job in a retail environment in my entire life. Not a retail environment or a restaurant. So no clothing stores, no shopping centers, nothing. No restaurants, no anything. So why in the world would the owner of a coffee shop be willing to give me 25% ownership of his company? Well, the reason is quite simple. He wanted me to help him develop a system that would enable us to open a coffee shop for less than $25,000 and do it in under 6 months. And you know what else? We wanted to be able to do it without using a single penny of our own money. None of our own money could be used to do it. So we had to develop a system to do that. And I know some of you are probably thinking, yeah, but the coffee shop probably went out of business, a few days or a few weeks after y'all opened it. Well, actually, the coffee shop has now been open for over 2 years and it's very profitable and continuing to grow. So it hasn't declined, it's actually continued to grow from the time of its actual opening. So how were we able to save money? What exactly enabled us to open a coffee shop for less than $25,000? Well, first of all, we leased a location in an older, recently remodeled shopping center. In other words, we didn't go out and go lease a location in a brand new shopping center in a brand new growing part of town. We leased a location in a shopping center in a very good part of town, but the shopping center was old and had just recently been remodeled. Also, we signed a longer term lease which enabled us to negotiate for a slightly better rate. So instead of signing a 2 or 3 year lease, we signed a 5-year lease from the beginning and negotiated a better monthly rate. Also, because we leased in an older shopping center, there had previously been someone in that particular location, which was great. It saved us a ton of money because they had already built the office in the back, they had already built the bathroom, and they had already even had a kitchen put in. So we did not have to build all of those things. We had to make slight modifications to each of them, but we didn't have to build them out. So that saved a tremendous amount of money. Another thing that we did was we used a free interior designer, not just for the overall look and feel, but for the actual layout of our coffee shop. And I'll tell you a little bit later on how you can do the exact same thing. We also used a new contractor to complete the build out. Now, I'm not talking about a contractor who's just getting started, just now picking up a hammer and a paintbrush and getting started. I'm talking about a contractor who had been in the business for several years, but he had only focused on residential jobs. He had never really done any commercial work. So he was looking to get into that business, but needed some good references. And so he wanted us to give us a reference. In exchange, he gave us a really good deal on the build out of our location. We also negotiated several $1,000s worth of absolutely free equipment. And I will also tell you how you can do this for yourself and save thousands of dollars on certain pieces of your equipment. Another thing we did that enabled us to keep a lot of our money up front was we lease purchased the remaining portions of our equipment. So we didn't go out and pay cash for all of this equipment up front. We lease purchased it. And what that simply means is we made monthly payments on our equipment, and at the end of the set term, which I believe was 2 years, the equipment became ours. Another thing that we did was use grassroots marketing and simple things that you can do. You don't have to go out and buy a full page ad in the newspaper or put a commercial in every single channel on TV or purchase a radio ad from every radio station in town. There are things that you can do, proven things that you can do, that will create a dramatic buzz about the opening of your coffee shop. So how do we do it in less than 6 months? Well, first of all, we were familiar with our area. We didn't just move into this area and open a coffee shop and 6 months later. We both were familiar with the area. Second, we'd been watching the real estate market prior to signing a lease. We'd been watching which shopping centers we were interested in and watching for vacancies in those shopping centers. We'd also studied the morning traffic patterns in our town. We knew which side of the road that we wanted to be on and which shopping centers were on that side of the road. A coffee shop, you should always strive to have your coffee shop on the right-hand side of the road. That's the side of the road with the morning traffic. You want people to be able to make a right-hand turn out of the flow of traffic and into your coffee shop, and then a right-hand turn back into the flow of traffic. So that's something very important to look for. We were also in a small town, so we had connections. We didn't have to spend a lot of time researching builders, plumbers, electricians, or anything like that. We had some connections in our town. I'm not saying that we were related or best friends with anyone involved in the opening process, but we had connections. You know, a friend who knows someone or a relative who may know someone, things like that. We also already had a list of reputable equipment suppliers, and we already had connections with a couple of roasters. Both of those things are things that you can do. You can start right now building a list of reputable equipment suppliers, as well as developing relationships with some potential roasters. You don't even have to have a lease signed. You don't have to do anything else. You just pick up the phone and call and start developing those relationships. We developed the proper foundation prior to signing a lease or prior to purchasing the very first piece of equipment. That way, once we were ready to get started, we knew exactly step by step what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. That's something that you can duplicate as well. Can it be repeated? Yes, absolutely it can be repeated. As a matter of fact, it's already been done several times. For example, the owner of the coffee shop that I used to be a co-owner of, he has gone on to open 2 coffee shops in the past 2 years, and he opened each one for less than $25,000. He was even able to negotiate an entire year, the whole first year, free. Not a single lease payment had to be made, and it wasn't some form of balloon payment or anything like that. It was just absolutely free. He signed a 5-year lease, and he was able to negotiate the entire first year free. And that's something that you can do as well. People who have purchased the old ebook that I used to sell on the Brewbook website, they have gone on to open their very own coffee shops. So it absolutely can be repeated. So what about you? What is it that's preventing you from opening a coffee shop? You know what? You have to suspend that disbelief. The disbelief that's in your head telling you that you cannot do it and listing all the reasons why you can never open a coffee shop. You've got to learn to suspend that disbelief, not listen to it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take caution and take heed to certain concerns. You absolutely should. But you've got to learn to suspend all those disbeliefs, all those reasons telling you why you will never be able to open a coffee shop. Look, trust me, the hardest part of the entire process of opening a coffee shop is learning to suspend your disbelief and moving past that. In other words, committing to opening the coffee shop and beginning the process. So if I can do it, I absolutely know you can do it. No question about it. It's not that hard to do. It's just a matter of taking some time, doing some research, and laying the proper foundation. So begin today. Get on Google search how to open a coffee shop. There's tons of free articles, tons of free information, or go to your local library. Check out some books on how to open a business. You can do this. I promise it's not as hard as you think it is. I'm going to get you some more information really quickly. I want to let you know exactly how we negotiated free equipment. I want to let you know also about the builder and the build out process and kind of how much money we spent in those areas. I'm going to try to get that over to you really soon. Thanks so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you really soon. Thanks.